Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's lecture and some of the coming lectures, we are going to learn some of the basics of Angular, where we will learn how to set up a basic Angular application. After that, we are going to create some basic UI, backend logic, and how we bind data to the Angular application, which is coming from our backend REST service. So in this lecture, we are going to do some of the basic stuff like how to set up a Angular application, what are the basic components of a Angular application. So let's start. I have VS Code open and I am starting from where I left in my last lecture, where we set up our Spring application. We had a setup of API gateway and discovery service, and I had some of my REST services working. So now what we are going to do is I am going to create an Angular project inside this college directory. So I have installed Node.js already, and I have also installed Angular globally on my machine. To install Angular globally on your machine, you will run this command npm install -g @angular /CLI. This installs your Angular CI globally on your system. If you want to install Angular locally, you can remove -g. Then it is going to install Angular in your local directory. So if I show you my Angular version, so the application name for Angular is ng, and you can see I have Angular version 20, Node 24, and npm package manager version 11. Okay, so the first thing, I am inside college directory and I am going to set up a UI Angular project by using command ng new college UI. I'm going to press enter. It is going to ask some of the basic setup things. So I said I need a CSS. Then I'm saying no to this, and I am saying bye to this, and I accepted the defaults. So it created a basic project, and then it is going to install the npm modules which are required to set up a basic Angular application. So you will see that I am done with the basic setup, and on the left side you will see a directory named college UI, and inside that I have a basic Angular project setup. We will get into all these files in a moment. Before that, let me so now what I need to do is go into the college UI directory. That's why I'm getting these errors, because I am not inside a Angular project. So if I say ng serve, this is going to serve me the Angular page on port 4200. So if I press this, I'm going to copy it and paste in the browser, and I can see a Angular page working on localhost port 4200. This means our basic Angular application is set up and working fine. So if you see this page, we can go ahead and talk about some of the basic components of the Angular application. Coming back to VS Code, you will see some of the files like angular.json, which has a basic configuration for the Angular. Then you will see package JSON files, which have the packages installed for your application. And these will have package versions. So let's say I'm using Angular Common version 20.2. Similarly, you will see other packages installed and the dependencies they have. After that, if we see and go inside SRC, we will see a few more files. So style.css is application-wide styles, which means these are global styles. And then this is our main file, which does not have much. It just imports your configuration and imports your main app. So if you see here, it is importing your application configuration, which is inside your app and app.config.ts. So this is your application wide configuration, which can have your, let's say, REST client information, right? And some of the other information you want across your whole application. So that's the hierarchy. So from main.ts, it is also importing your main application. So when it imports your application, this means it is looking inside app directory and then app module. So you go inside app directory and inside that you will see app.ts. This is your app module. Okay. Now every component of Angular will have a few things. There is a HTML file, then there is a CSS file, and then you will see a TypeScript file. These three files are part of a component. You will also see app.spec.ts, which is used for testing. Then we have route information. At this time, we are not using routes, but when we do and learn about routes, probably we are going to work with this file. So for now, you generally want to know about HTML, CSS, and the TS file. So the main file, your application file, is the main.ts, which is the TypeScript file, and index.html, and the style.css. So these three are your application-wide files which are loaded when your application starts. Okay. So now let's go into index.html. You will see in the body there is a selector called app-root. This means whatever is inside, so this is going to ignore root. This is only going to read app. Whatever is inside app module HTML file is going to be copied here in line. So if we go in app.html, you will see a lot of HTML, which is actually this thing what you are seeing on the web page. So now this whole app.html is copied inline here because we have a selector app root. And the name is coming from the app.ts file. So if you go in the app.ts file, you will see the name of the selector app.root, app-root, and that's what is copied inside index.html. And it is also telling what other modules or components we are importing, and then what is the name of the HTML and the CSS file for the app module. So that's how you will see every component in Angular. One, you will see a selector name, its respective HTML and CSS files in the TypeScript file, and then you will have a class where you write your code. Okay, so in Angular we do coding using TypeScript, which is pretty much similar to any of the object-oriented programming you use. We can create classes, we can create variables, data types, member functions. So it's pretty much same way we code in any of the other languages. Let's say it could be Java or JavaScript. So the learning is not very tough, and you should be able to quickly get what's going on. Okay, so that's what was a basic idea of how Angular application is set up and what are the different components of an Angular application. So let's do a few changes. So let's say I go in app.html and I remove everything and I say hello world. Save it. You will see that whatever changes you make are actually compiled at runtime, and we can see the reflected changes in the browser. Okay, so this means when we changed app.html, this thing was copied here because we are importing approot, and approot is app.ts. The selector is coming from here, and its respective HTML file will be copied. Okay, now let's say I go in the CSS and I create a class. Okay, and I apply this here. Save it and go back in the browser, and you will see the text became red. So that's how this whole thing is working. You write the UI in HTML, write the styles in CSS, and any of the other business logic in the TS file. Okay. Now let's do a little change to show how this thing works. So let's say here, instead of approot, I change it to ncroot. Okay, and in the index.html I say ncroot. So now I am importing ncroot and not approot, and accordingly I changed my selector name in the app component to be ncroot, and that's it. You still see the same hello world in red color. Okay, so that was some basic idea about how different things are arranged in a Angular application. Now we need to create a few more components. So let's say I have in my Spring application, if you are following my other lectures, I had a student service, I had a course service, and I had a enrollment service. So I had three services. So what I need is in the Angular, I need these three components. Plus, let's say I want to create a main landing page. So then I need a fourth component as well. Okay. So let's create a component. What I want is I want a directory inside app called components, and then I want all my components inside that directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it and write this ng generate components, a directory called components, and then college, and I press enter. So it created a component inside the components directory called college, and you will see all those files which we already discussed. You will see a CSS file, HTML file, a spec which is used for testing, and the college.typescript file, right? So if we go in college.ts, you will see selector is app college. Okay, HTML has some nothing. Oh, it has, let's say, that's it. CSS has nothing. Okay, so that's how a component is arranged. Let's say I want to have this college.html imported inside my app.html. Okay, or let's say I want it. Yeah, so what I want to do is I want app college, right? Now this is not going to work. Why? Because I need to import app college inside my TypeScript file, and app college is coming from college module or college component. So I need to import that component. So you see that I imported my college component, and then inside that component I imported the college module, and this means when I go in app.html and write this selector, it will be able to find app college, which is the selector here, and its respective HTML is this. So what you are going to see is you are going to see hello world in red, and after that college works, right? And if I run the application again, you will see hello world and college works, right? That's how you are going to import other components or inject your components and use them. So now let's say I don't want this app prefix to be used. Instead, I want that my components should use NCU instead of app, right? So either I can manually do this here, and then I go in my app.html and I change it, and I change it. Okay, or what I can do is I can go in my angular.json file and I change the prefix to NC. Save it. Let's say I want to generate some other component. I want to generate student module or student component. Now let's go inside components and let's go inside student TS file. You will see the selector has changed. The prefix is no more app. It has changed to NCU student, right? So let's go back to your and import student as well. And now in app.html, I should be able to use NCU student selector. Save it, run your application again. Go back to browser and you see we have another component added on the page. So I think that's some of the basic things which I would like to share in this session. In the next session, we are going to go more into how we can use some of the constructs of Angular related to data and how we can call a REST service from Angular and retrieve what is returned from the service. So that is all for this session, and I will see you in my next session. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.